walking is one of the simplest and most useful forms of exercise. You can do it almost anywhere, you don't need expensive equipment, and it keeps your body moving. But there is an important difference between moving your muscles and challenging your muscles to become stronger. Think about it this way. If you lift the same light object every day, your muscles eventually learn that the job is easy. Walking works in a similar way. Your legs repeatedly support your body, but for many people, especially those who have been walking regularly for years, the resistance may not be enough to produce large improvements in strength, and strength matters. Everyday life is filled with small movements that require more force than ordinary walking. Getting up from a chair, climbing stairs, stepping over a curb, getting out of bed, squatting down to pick something up, catching yourself when you lose your balance. These actions require your muscles to produce force quickly and efficiently. This is where a simple exercise like the sit-to-stand becomes interesting. When you stand up from a chair, your leg muscles have to push your body upward against gravity. Your quadriceps straighten your knees. Your glutes help extend your hips. Your core works to stabilize your body. In just one ordinary movement, several important muscle groups cooperate. Walking certainly uses your legs, but its primary demand is repetitive endurance. Sit-to-stand places a greater emphasis on producing force. Imagine carrying a heavy grocery bag. You wouldn't become dramatically stronger by simply carrying an empty bag for thousands of steps. At some point, your body needs a stronger challenge. Muscles respond to that challenge by adapting. That's the basic idea behind strength training. And here's the beautiful part. You don't necessarily need a complicated gym machine to begin. Your own body can provide resistance. A sturdy chair can provide a stable starting point. The movement is familiar because you've performed it countless times without even thinking about it. But now you perform it deliberately. You stand up slowly. You control yourself as you sit back down. Then you repeat. The goal isn't to race through the repetitions. It's to make your muscles do the work. For older adults, this distinction can become especially important. Maintaining leg strength can support everyday independence. Stronger legs can make it easier to rise from a chair, navigate stairs, and move around the home with confidence. So don't misunderstand the message. Walking is not bad. Quite the opposite. Walking remains an excellent activity for cardiovascular fitness, endurance, and general movement. The lesson is simply that walking and strength training solve different problems. Walking teaches your body to keep moving. Strength exercises teach your muscles to produce force. And when you combine the two, you give your body a much more complete message. Stay active, but also stay strong. That is why one very ordinary movement, standing up from a chair, can become a surprisingly powerful exercise when performed consistently, safely, and progressively. Here is a simple question. If you want your legs to become stronger, what exactly are you asking your muscles to do? You are asking them to produce more force. That sounds obvious. But it explains something important about exercise. Your muscles don't become significantly stronger simply because you use them. They become stronger when you give them a reason to adapt. Imagine walking across your living room. Your legs work, but the movement is relatively easy. Now imagine standing up from a low chair. Suddenly, your muscles have to push your body upward against gravity. The demand is greater. That difference is called resistance. Resistance doesn't have to mean a heavy barbell or an expensive exercise machine. Your own body weight can create resistance. Gravity can create resistance. Even the position of your body can make a familiar movement much more challenging. This is why the sit-to-stand exercise is so useful. When you lower yourself toward a chair, your leg muscles are controlling your descent. When you stand, those same muscles produce force to lift your body upward. Your quadriceps work around the knees. Your glutes contribute powerful movement around the hips. Your trunk muscles help keep you stable. So one simple movement becomes a coordinated strength exercise. Now consider what happens when you repeat it. The first few repetitions might feel easy. After several repetitions, you may notice your legs working harder. With consistent training, your body begins adapting to the challenge. Your nervous system becomes better at coordinating the movement, and your muscles can gradually become more capable of producing force. This is the basic principle of progressive overload. You don't have to make an exercise dramatically harder overnight. Instead, you gradually increase the challenge as your body adapts. Perhaps you begin with 5 controlled sit-to-stands. Later, you can perform 8, then 10. Eventually, you might make the movement slightly more challenging by using a lower chair or adding another safe variation, depending on your abilities. The important word is gradually. Strength isn't built by exhausting yourself once. It's built through repeated exposure to an appropriate challenge. And this is where walking and strength training differ. During walking, your legs repeatedly perform relatively familiar movements. That's excellent for building and maintaining endurance. But if your goal is specifically to improve the ability to generate force, you need movements that demand more force from the muscles. Think of it like teaching a student mathematics. Repeating problems the student already knows may improve familiarity, but eventually you need to introduce a slightly harder problem. That's where learning occurs. Muscles work in a similar way. Give them a challenge they can handle, allow them to recover, and then gradually ask them to do a little more. But there is another advantage to sit-to-stand. It trains strength in a movement that actually matters. You aren't strengthening your legs merely to achieve a number on an exercise chart. You're strengthening them for real life. You want to stand from the sofa without pushing heavily with your arms. You want to rise from the toilet safely. You want to climb a flight of stairs. You want to step onto a curb without hesitation. Those are strength problems. And the solution doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the most useful exercise is the one that looks almost too ordinary to be an exercise at all. Standing up from a chair is one of those movements. The key is to perform it with control, consistency, and an appropriate level of resistance. Over time, that simple challenge can give your legs a reason to remain capable of doing one of the most important jobs they have, moving you through everyday life. Now we come to the part that matters most. How do you actually perform this exercise? Because a good exercise is not simply about doing more repetitions. It is about doing the movement correctly, safely, and consistently enough for your body to benefit from it. The exercise is the sit-to-stand. Start with a sturdy chair that does not slide easily across the floor. Place it on a stable surface and stand in front of it. Your feet should be about shoulder width apart, with your toes pointing generally forward. Keep your chest lifted and look straight ahead. Now comes the movement. Slowly bend your knees and hips as you lower yourself toward the chair. Don't simply drop into the seat. Try to control the entire descent. Once you feel the chair beneath you, pause briefly if comfortable, then push through your feet and stand back up. That's 1 repetition. It sounds almost ridiculously simple, but simplicity is exactly what makes this movement useful. You're practicing something your body needs every day. The first mistake people often make is rushing. They sit down quickly and immediately bounce back up, but speed can take some of the work away from the muscles you're trying to challenge. Instead, think about controlling the movement. Let your legs do the work. Another common mistake is allowing the knees to collapse inward. Try to keep your knees tracking in the same general direction as your toes. Your feet should remain firmly planted rather than shifting around. And don't forget the chair. The chair isn't a sign that you're weak. It's a safety tool. It gives you a reliable target and provides support while you're learning the movement. If standing without using your hands is difficult, you can begin by using your hands lightly on the chair or another supple surface, depending on your circumstances. The goal is not to prove how strong you are on day 1. The goal is to gradually become stronger. That's where progression comes in. Suppose you begin with 5 comfortable repetitions. After a period of consistent practice, 5 may no longer feel challenging. You might then increase to 6 or 8 repetitions, depending on your ability. Eventually, you may perform several sets rather than one continuous set. The principle is simple. Challenge yourself, but don't overwhelm yourself. You don't need to feel completely exhausted for an exercise to be effective. And you don't need to make dramatic changes every day. Small improvements accumulate. Perhaps today you can stand from the chair 5 times. A few weeks from now, you can do 10 controlled repetitions. Later, you may notice something outside your exercise routine. Getting out of your favorite chair feels easier. That's the real measurement. Progressive exercise should make life easier, not simply make workouts harder. Of course, individual abilities vary. Someone with significant balance problems, joint pain, recent surgery, or another medical concern should get appropriate professional guidance before beginning or modifying a strength routine. Safety comes first. You should also stop if you experience unusual pain, dizziness, chest discomfort, or significant shortness of breath, and seek appropriate medical advice. The goal isn't to fight your body, it's to train it. And there is an important psychological benefit to starting this way. When an exercise is simple enough to understand and easy enough to perform at an appropriate level, it becomes less intimidating. You don't need a complicated routine with 20 different movements. You need a movement you can perform correctly. Then you repeat it. Then gradually, you make it a little more challenging. That is how ordinary movement becomes purposeful strength training. The chair is right there. Your feet are on the floor. Gravity provides the resistance. Your muscles provide the force. And with every controlled repetition, you're practicing something incredibly valuable: the ability to stand up under your own power. There is something important about strong legs that has nothing to do with looking athletic. Strong legs give you options. They allow you to get up when you want to get up. They help you climb stairs, step over obstacles, carry groceries, get out of a car, and move around your home with greater confidence. In other words, leg strength is not just an exercise goal. It is part of maintaining independence. Think about something as ordinary as standing from a chair. When you're young and strong, you probably never think about it. You sit down, and later you simply stand up. There is no calculation, no preparation, no concern. But if your leg strength gradually declines, that simple movement can become noticeably harder. You might begin using your hands to push yourself upward. You might look for furniture to hold onto. You might avoid low chairs because getting back up feels difficult. The movement hasn't changed, your muscles have. That's why maintaining strength matters. Walking can keep you active, but strength exercises give your muscles a different kind of challenge. When you practice controlled sit-to-stands, you're rehearsing one of the fundamental movements of daily life. And there is another piece of the puzzle: confidence. When people feel uncertain about their ability to stand, climb stairs, or move around safely, they may naturally become more cautious. They might reduce their activity because they're afraid of losing balance or struggling with a movement. But becoming less active can create another problem. Less activity can mean fewer opportunities for the muscles to work. Over time, that can contribute to further loss of strength. It can become a cycle. Less strength leads to less movement leads to less training, and less training can make everyday movements feel even harder. The goal of strength training is to interrupt that cycle. You don't need to become exceptionally strong. You need enough strength for the tasks that matter to you. Maybe that means walking around your neighborhood. Maybe it means carrying your own shopping bags. Maybe it means getting up from the floor. Maybe it means climbing the stairs to your bedroom without stopping. Everyone has a different definition of independence, but the foundation is similar. Your body needs enough strength to perform the movements your life requires. That's why progression matters so much. You don't need to begin with an advanced exercise. Start with what you can safely manage. Perform controlled sit-to-stands from a sturdy chair. Practice regularly. Pay attention to your technique. As the movement becomes easier, gradually increase the challenge. Your body responds to what you repeatedly ask it to do. Ask it to remain inactive, and it becomes accustomed to inactivity. Ask it to move and produce force, and you give it a reason to maintain those abilities. Of course, strength is only one part of healthy aging. Balance, flexibility, cardiovascular fitness, coordination, sleep, nutrition, and recovery all matter too. No single exercise can prevent every problem associated with aging, but strength is a powerful foundation, and the beauty of the sit-to-stand exercise is that it connects training directly to real life. You're not strengthening your legs just so you can say you completed another workout. You're strengthening them so that tomorrow's ordinary tasks remain ordinary, so that getting out of your chair doesn't require a strategy, so that stairs don't automatically feel intimidating, so that you can carry something without immediately searching for a place to put it down, so that your body remains a tool you can rely on. And perhaps that's the most useful way to think about exercise. Don't ask only, how many calories did I burn? Ask a more practical question. What will this exercise help me do tomorrow? A stronger pair of legs can mean more freedom to move, more confidence in everyday activities, and more ability to remain involved in the things you enjoy. The exercise may look simple: stand up, sit down, repeat. But underneath that simple movement is a much bigger idea. Train your body today so that ordinary life stays possible tomorrow.